Start the meeting. Replace straight, replace and increase. One will go up by 1.5 mils, but it's three separate items. Or you can combine two of them. Combine the 12 and 16 that are both collecting at 2.9. Combine those two and replace them at their current millage. No increase in millage, so just replace it.
What was your levy last time? I can't remember.
We would still have that other levy.
Yeah, what was it?
It would just continue to collect at its current valuation.
Make sure Brian, are you good to go down there?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, open up my.
And it was only close.
Or the other option that Nick threw in was, we don't touch any of the three levies that we have in place right now. They just, they're left alone.
Oh, that's right.
Replace them.
Okay.
They continue to collect at their original rates. And you just do one new levy. One item would go on the ballot. It's a new levy
Yeah,
for
if you put-
2.5 mils.
If you put
It's a single
three
voted item.
separate
All right,
items.
we are live on the internet right now, so we're going to go ahead at 3 o'clock to call the Brimfield Township Board of Trustees special meeting to order. Roll call for attendance. John?
All those in attendance, Mike?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
This special meeting is for the discussion of the emergency meeting. Emergency meeting is for the discussion of the Brimfield Township Police Department levy and other Brimfield Township business. So before us today for this is our police chief to discuss the upcoming levy in order to meet the deadline for levy applications. So Roy, if you can give us an overview of where we're at, and then we'll open up the discussion.
Sure. I'm just going to kind of walk through this, just kind of from beginning to end, to kind of let you know where we're at today and what our options will be going forward to get us where we need to be. So as we sit today, the police department has 3 continuous police levies in place that are funding our operations. We have a 2006 levy that's collecting at 2.7 mils. We have a 2012 levy that's collecting at 2.9, and a 2016 levy that's also collecting at 2.9. So 3 continuous levies in place. As we look at our projections going out, and as we did last time we looked at our levy in 2016, the word was to have the police department be able to maintain operations for a minimum of 5 years. So as we do our projections based on where we sit today and where we're looking at going forward, we project out and come up with an idea what we'll need to get us through a minimum 5-year window. So we have some options to get us to where we need to be. And I'm going to kind of walk through those one at a time for you guys as a board. We can, option number 1 is to replace the 3 current levies that we have in place. We could replace the levy from 2016, replace the 2012 levy that's also at 2.9 mil, and replace the 2006 levy that sits at 2.7 mil, but increase that one slightly up to 3.85 mils. So you could have 2 of our current levies just replaced at their existing millage, and the 3rd levy replaced with a slight increase to take it from 2.7 to 3.85. That's option number 1.
And those would be 3 ballot issues,
Correct. That would be three ballot issues.
Okay.
The second option that we have is to combine 2 of our current levies and replace them into 1 levy. So we could combine the 2012 levy collecting at 2.9 and the 2016 levy that collects at 2.9 into 1 single levy as a replacement. No increase, just replacing that. So the combined millage becomes 5.8, but it's just a straight replacement of that levy.
And it would be a continuous.
It would be continuous. That's correct. So you can combine 2 into 1. And again, on top of that, we would simply just need to make a slight replacement to that levy from 2006. That would go from 2.7 to 3.85.
Is there a third option, to put all 3 of them in one lump?
There is a 3rd option and potentially a 4th option.
Right.
A 3rd option could be we take all of our replacement levies that we have in place, combine the existing current millage they collect at, and do one single replacement of all 3 levies. But again, one of those would have to be increase slightly by a little over 1 mil to get us where we need to be.
Which would get us to
9.65 cumulative.
so that would be a 9.65 mil levy, with the understanding that it eliminates the 2.9, the 2.9, and the 2.7.
Yeah, in essence, what we're doing is condensing the 3 continuous into a single.
A single levy
Yeah.
with a minor increase. That's how we get to the 9 point.
That's correct.
Would that be one ballot issue?
I have to double check with the prosecutor's office and the Board of Elections, but I believe that would be one ballot issue.
I don't really want to see 3 things for people to vote on that they're all involved with the police department. I think it would be very confusing to them. Even though they would read it, I don't know that they would understand it, that they're 3 separate. I think it would just be too confusing, and I think the older generations are the people that come out and vote. And so I wouldn't be for the number 1 option where each one is a separate thing on the ballot.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, to get only one yes, that's probably the easiest way.
My concern, though, with the one ballot issue is, well, we understand at the board, as it was presented to us, that we're collecting what we collected before with only a 1.15 increase. That the public are just going to see it as a 9.65 mil levy, even though it says replacement or, those sorts of things. Making sure that information's out there, that we're not collecting an additional 9.65. We're only collecting really an additional 1.15, and bringing everybody up to current valuation.
Let me touch on what could potentially be a 4th option,
Okay.
which would be leaving the 3 continuous levies that we have in place for police operations alone, and not even replacing those, just leave them alone as they are. They would collect at the rate that they were originally collecting at the time of their passage, and we could potentially just have one single new levy option on the ballot for residents to look at. So it would be a single issue, it would just be a single new levy, not doing anything at all with the 3 current continuous levies that are in place.
How much is that?
I'm estimating off the top of my head, because we just did some math, it would be roughly 2.5 mil.
So we'd be looking at a brand new levy, leave the other ones alone, and just puts us at 2.5 mil levy that people would vote for. And knowing that the other 3 levies are continuous levies, so they continue to collect no matter what happens at that point.
Now, what did you guesstimate the cost would be per 100,000?
I'd have to do some quick math on it. I have the formula in front of me.
Something quick in there. 30, 35?
Per 100,000 current, as the 3 levies collect, is 250.48. If we do a replacement with no increase in any of the millage, that goes to 297.50. To get us to where we need to be with the 5-year projection would be 337.75.
I think 1 mil is $35.
That's what I think.
So you'd be looking at
70.
Yeah, 70 some dollars.
A year.
87.50 approximately. So $90 a year is what that 2.5 mil levy would look like.
Okay.
Well, I just had my house refinanced, and they came in and appraised my Beechcrest concrete slab, $134,000. That was 6 weeks ago.
Right.
That'd be about $750 a month. I mean, to most of us, it's nothing for the safety of the township.
But we do have to consider those that are on the fixed incomes.
Right.
It's a concern for them too. But we need to look at what options exist, because the police department worked within their budget. They got to that 5-year point that we asked them to. And, to be financially sensible with our dollars, we need to project to 5 years out. And knowing that, what do we get with this, Roy? I guess is a good question that we should put on the floor too. So if we can get to that 9.65 mil total, what does that bring into the township?
Well, the main thing that we're really looking at, frankly, is staffing.
Okay.
We need to accommodate for the addition of a couple of full-time officers on our staff, just because frankly, where we're at with population today and growth projections going forward. If you look at our township with our population and other area communities that are comparably sized to us, we have significantly fewer police personnel. So the biggest piece this gets is this really is going to add us 2 full-time police officers that we would start hiring for upon passage to add those positions to the department. The second piece that's going to be added to that is the maintenance of the cruiser fleet. One of the items we've been able to put in place since back in 2015, 2016 with the passage of the last levy is a fleet rotation program where we've been able to replace 2 cruisers annually and keeping our maintenance costs more reasonable. This would allow us to continue to do that moving forward into the future. The third item we're going to address with this is going to be equipment. There's some equipment we're looking at as far as the cruiser fleet goes, as far as officer safety goes, with some protective shields that we want to put in each of the cruisers, upgrading our body cameras. So there's an equipment and capital piece that's tied into this as well. And the final component is going to be training. We need to have dedicated funds exclusively to officer training and ensure we have a revenue source to do that. Our officers deserve that. Our community expects that. Nobody wants minimally compensated, minimally trained police officers showing up to their house. So we need to have a dedicated revenue source for training and development of our staff. So those are the four main areas that's going to address.
Okay. And I think, all of those are important. We know with the fire department, we've started adding more firefighters because of the staffing concern there. On the patrol side, obviously, we've talked about this plenty of times. We look at our numbers of officers versus other areas with similar population where we are behind the times. And I think training is a really big piece too. So we'd be able to get a dedicated budget line.
Yeah, we've been able to do that since our last levy. We want to be able to continue and build on that.
Okay.
And when we back in 2015, 2016, we had little to no money set aside for training, and that's just not acceptable.
I mean, that one variable is what the JED's gonna kick in, because I mean, you guys still get that 30%. I mean, we are probably on the cusp of one of the largest expansions of real income coming into the township in a long time. So I mean, I wondered if Mike Ladd was able to do any kind of projections. I mean, what's the income of that one place? What did they say,
3.7 or something?
Yeah, 3.7, 3.8 million. That's a lot of money.
Right. But I think he said we were going to get $100,000 a year out
Is
of
that what we
that.
thought?
Yeah, roughly.
So
And I don't know if that 100,000 was 100,000 to Brimfield, 100,000 to Talmadge, or 50 and 50. That I didn't get the clarification on. He's on vacation this week.
But the biggest item I can put my finger on for you and for the community is adding additional police officers on patrol right here in our community. We want to put on 2 full-timers for sure.
What would that bring our staffing levels to?
Right now, we currently have 18 full-time staff, and this would take us to 20 full-time staff.
And would that bring up our minimum staffing level per shift at all? Or
It would certainly have an impact on that.
Okay.
We have, frankly, we have far too many shifts. We only have 2 patrol cars on, and that's just, there's a variety of concerns I have for that, and I'd like to get that up.
That just leaves us all unprotected when they have a felony pullover. They're both out on the road and no one's available for anything else.
Yeah, the biggest piece is just bringing 2 additional officers into the community. That's the biggest piece I can put my finger on.
Right.
So our afternoon shifts is our worst by far.
That depends. I would say that depending on what's going on in the community, I mean, the retail district drives a lot of activity, and our day shift folks can find themselves just as busy down there. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's always necessarily afternoon shift. But that whole retail district with Marketplace, Maple Crest, and Cascades is driving in additional traffic. The traffic flow comes in additional cars, et cetera, et cetera. That all contributes to what we're doing down there. So that area drives a lot of activity. I think everybody understands that.
Well, I think we also lose the fact that we don't have command staff in the afternoon. I mean, you got the captain and the chief working. That can
We
respond
have 3
individually.
during the day, right? So the detective, the captain, and the chief. But then at night, or afternoons, we only have 4 or 3 most of the time.
It depends. I mean, there's times there's only 2 officers on shift.
In afternoon, 2, 3 to 11.
That's correct.
I mean, I think we as the board see the need for the levy. It's just what option is going to be the best way to convey. We're getting to the same point no matter what. We're getting to 9.65 mil collection. How do we convey that best to the public?
Well, the old timer voters that have been here, that have passed all these levies in the past, it's a very easy conversation to them. It's, we're putting you back to where you were before. With all the growth, your levy's gone down. So we're just asking you to vote yes again, like you did before. They go to those same people that have lived here for 40, 50 years and say, hey, I want a 2.5 mil levy, that in their 80 now, it kind of becomes a little rough compared to just saying, you agreed to this 3 times before, we're just gonna bump it. What was 2006? Does it show you the population that was on those at that time?
No, I've just got the numbers. I don't have the population. I've just got.
I'm just wondering how many
Yeah.
more houses we pulled into 06s. I mean, that was when we started growing. It has to be 8,000 or 9,000 people.
Yeah.
My only concern, John, is the single replacement is how it will read at the ballot, because let's face it, a lot of voters just vote when they get to the ballot. And if I just see 9.65 and I skim it and don't have a lot of information, 9.65 is a pretty scary number after we just went through the fire and then levy and the school levy. That's my only concern, is the language of 9.65. I know that's where we're getting, but for them to understand it's not 9.65 new, this is just bringing
Yeah,
us
that's
some
always a hard
valuation.
discussion for people to understand.
And we're gonna be running against the school.
No, I'm saying just we
No,
just
no.
had the school levy.
But is the school gonna be running it?
I don't think there's a levy for them. Not that I've been aware of. I haven't heard anything yet.
Well, it's like I said, all you can do is we can tell them the need and you put it out for the voters and.
Well, the question becomes, what do we want the language to be? That's why we did the special meeting so
Right,
that,
right.
because this all has to be by August 2nd.
Well, I mean, everyone's
To the board
made
of
it,
election.
everyone's made a good point, and I mean, Sue's was a good one, because a lot of the older folks, 2.5 mil is a lot,
Right.
especially with Social Security supposedly taking a decrease. And I think we have something living in this ceiling again.
Somebody crawling on the roof sounds like a critter.
Okay, I don't know, it's a tough decision. And Nick has a good point, they're all good points.
Ray, what's your thought?
At the end of the day, how we get to the end of the rainbow, the second you're gonna meet, I mean, that's what we're gonna need. Just,
We have to get it one way or the other.
I mean, the growth in the community, I don't think everybody sees that. It's not a secret to anybody. And I realize that the growth in the community brings with it hurdles that we have to deal with. The flip side of that coin is we could be on the opposite side of that and the community could not be growing and it could be dying. And that's not the case with us. So we need to keep up with that growth in what I will say is a responsible way. So could I put four full-time officers to use? Absolutely I could. But I'm not going to come and ask for that all at once because we need to try to be reasonable with where we're at with that. And I think we're all sensitive to that. I live in the community as well.
Yeah.
Right, so I mean, pretty much, ultimately, I think it's your decision. You just bring it to the board and you tell us what you want. At least we're not defunding the police, which is a great thing. I mean, we want to see nothing but you get more, but responsibly.
Well, I think with us going 26 years without the school levy being passed, and then when it did pass, it was such a big hit. I think that's really, really giving people nausea. And
I know, and it's being pushed towards us.
And so many people don't realize that the school and the township are two completely separate entities. And they're going to look at the township saying, oh, well, the school just got this and now the township is wanting, because doesn't click up there. So it'd really be an educational process.
Yeah.
I think no matter what, we're going to have to push education on this levy. We're going to have to be out there talking. I think pushing the 2.5 might be either 2.5 or the 9.65. A single replacement or a new levy, I think are really the only two options. You see multiple options on there.
Yep.
There's a good chance one's going to fail. And that's just my opinion for what it's worth.
It's too many guesses to put out.
Right.
But if we get all three of them together and educated, it's only 1.5% increase. So now we can really just push that as the new money instead of a 2.5. If you put all the three replaced all three of them and then added a 1.5 on top.
Well, I think it's important we clarify that, especially, with people listening. And the difference between the 1.15 and the 2.5 is because the old levies, the 6, the 12, and the 16 aren't collecting a full valuation. So that's why there's a difference. We're not trying to get more money than we need. There's just a difference between what they're collecting.
We're just re-upping what they agreed to in 06.
Right, but I just want people to understand why there's a difference between 1.15 if we do a single replacement compared to a new levy.
I see a Nick video coming.
We'll do pie charts. We'll do pizza charts.
If you do a new, we're leaving the existing 3 continuous levies alone. We're not replacing them.
Right.
They're being left completely
That was
untouched.
actually the 2.5.
That's if you just do a single new and leave the 3 continuous in place alone and you're not even replacing those. They're
So-
staying at status quo.
Well, couldn't we replace all three of them in the 1.5 all in one vote?
No.
Has to be 2 votes.
Yeah, there's 3 different ones. So if you wanted to, again, we could do a combine and replace for 2 of them with no increase. It's just a straight combine and replace. And then you could have a second item, which is in the 2006 levy, increasing that from 2.7 to 3.8. So it can be 2 issues that way. So there's a multitude of ways this can look on the ballot.
It almost has to just be one.
I'll say this, if you decide that we want to leave the 3 continuous levies from 06, 12, and 16 alone and not do a replacement, and you want to just do a single new, accounting for the fact that the community has grown over the years and is projected to continue to grow, I don't have the language for the new in front of you today. That was just a phone conversation we had with the prosecutor's office shortly before the meeting began, so I would
And
not
you
have
have
that
to
resolution.
have it by August.
August 2nd is the deadline.
So John, how fast can your office turn around a motion to the auditors to get it certified by them?
He already read the copies of the.
Well, I just need to know the timeline, like, because we got to pass one motion to get it to the audit, for you to move forward and get it to the auditors, and we got a second motion to get it on the ballot. So we need 2 motions before August 2nd, and we're pushing the end of June.
I'm taking all this stuff back, whatever we do today, I'm gonna take back today, it'll be ready, I just have to certify it when I get back.
Well,
I'll be back on the 1st of July.
the issue is, if we go with a 2.5 new levy, he doesn't have the language for you to take with you today. So we have to have another meeting. Can we make that happen at a regular board meeting?
Yeah, I'll be back on Wednesday, for the Wednesday meeting, the 7-2 meeting, is that what this is?
So what language did you have, just for the 3
The
individuals?
replacement options, yeah.
7:30, 6:30.
6:30, okay.
Yeah, June the 30th.
I come back late, the 29th. I just have that.
Because this is the resolution of necessity and then the resolution to proceed. So it's just how quickly the turnaround could be from that to get the certification from the auditor's office.
We'll have that for the meeting on Wednesday. I mean,
So if we get the language together for a new levy of 2.5 mil and bring it on Wednesday's meeting, can you certify it on Wednesday after the meeting and then have Kirsten take it down there?
yeah, all it has to, all the minutes have to do, no, because they have to have the minutes approved.
So that would be the issue.
You can always approve the minutes at the end of the meeting. There's nothing that says it has to be later. I mean, you're just gonna see the minutes.
Right. Or can we do a special meeting on Monday during the bid opening? Include that in the bid opening, the final proposal from the police department. Approve that as part of the bid opening meeting.
Yeah, you can do any other business. I'm just not gonna be here first.
Right, but if we do that, then she can work
Then
up
on
the meeting
1st or
minutes.
the 30th, we can do it.
I think it's just the leading to that. Yeah, he had that piece of needed done.
Yeah, I went through these. That's easy to do. So if she's here on
So,
the bid opening, you guys can do the bid opening and then any other township business.
correct.
So then you could approve the minutes.
Approve the motion.
Motion for that.
And then we'd approve the minutes on Wednesday's meeting
Right,
when you're
and then
here.
I
and
can
then we could
certify copy it on Wednesday afternoon and Royal have it Wednesday afternoon.
And then the only other step beyond that would be a subsequent resolution, which is the resolution to proceed. So there's 2
Right.
separate resolutions tied.
So that would still get us where we need to be, and that gives us another couple days to see what number, because we're only ballparking the 2.5 right now. I mean, I think we need to get real numbers back in the auditor's office to see what that would really look like. But I think we have a better chance at people understanding the levy with a single ballot issue. 3 ballot issues is not gonna do us any good. I don't think it's gonna get us anywhere.
It's too hard to get that many yeses.
Well, it's just too hard to get people to to educate and get out to every single person. I mean, we try, but we're only hitting 30-40% of the population as it is right now with social
The
media.
other ones that go in there and they're gonna read it, they don't even know what a replacement is. They're gonna think the police just want 4 different levies.
Right.
And that's,
Or they're gonna think they want 9.65 million. That's my concern there.
okay, I'm good with that. You can always replace those levies at the other time though. Yeah.
In the future, yeah, if we leave them alone now, we're not even replacing them right now. They're just going to continue status quo. So no changes would take
At
place.
least that's your guaranteed money.
Yeah, so he's guaranteed that amount, and that piece of the pie actually, as we add more houses, gets smaller for each person to pay into.
Right.
So, really, as we add more houses, it's gonna make it a little bit cheaper for those
Well, it's
residents.
already gone way down. You show how much it's gone down
Right,
from since their inception.
Yeah, the effective millage on it over time. Yeah,
I mean, that would.
as
be a
the
little piece.
township's grown, that actually has decreased.
Right, so who knows, when you actually look at the decrease versus the increase, it might not be that much of a difference.
right.
So,
Well, then I think at this point, there's no motion on the floor. There's for educational purposes. There was potential for motion today, but I don't see a need for it until we get the true, because this just came to
Yeah,
light at the last minute to go with
yeah,
a
we
single new
gotta see
issue.
true numbers.
So let's,
So
Roy, can
we're-
you
we're
get us
gonna
the new?
I'll follow up with Mr. Bensey.
And then we'll make a final decision on Monday, which gives us time to talk with people too and just kind of get a feel for the
So
environment.
then you're gonna turn into the meeting. You're not coming to the bid opening. We have a bid opening on
Monday.
Monday.
At 3 o'clock. I will not be able to be
It's for
here.
the fire.
Monday the 28th, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
So you can be at that.
yes.
Okay.
So once you get the information, talk with Sue because she won't be here, so you can at least get some feedback from Sue.
Okay.
And then Mike and I will be here for the bid opening and we can then vote on that.
So
based
then
on
on
the
Monday,
information.
we get all that finalized on your motion and all that. And one of you just give it to Kirsten and say, hey, make sure this is done by Wednesday's meeting. She'll get it all.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
she needs to have
if
meeting minutes.
you remind her that something will be coming.
Yeah, I'll let her know. But just during the meeting, just say, hey, you need to get this needs to be ready to be approved.
Meeting minutes must be ready for Wednesday
Well,
meeting.
who's gonna put the numbers together? Janet or one of her assistants?
I usually deal with Beth Wagner now at the auditor's office. She'll run the preliminary numbers.
And she takes into account all the homes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So, I mean, our numbers are, like you said, they're just guesstimates
Right.
in essence, so.
Well, I was working off the initial number she gave us, but it was a rough math equation.
Okay, good.
Okay, so that's what we do. And then Wednesday, we can approve the minutes and then I can give a certified copy of the minutes to you, Roy, on Wednesday afternoon.
Okay.
And then you got a month.
That way you
then-
can down to Beth.
Then you just need to have the second you guys need to pass the second resolution.
Yeah, so if you can get them Wednesday, take them down Wednesday or Thursday to her office, let her get her paperwork together, get it back over to us, then we can pass the second resolution and get it back in her hand for the second.
Well, we can do that on the 12th or 13th of July and then you still have 2 weeks.
Well, Roy, when you find those numbers, you mind sending them out to all the
Absolutely.
trustees so we
Yeah,
can see?
absolutely.
Because you have a certain number you're going for.
Yeah, we're just projecting in the future again, 5 years again.
And
minimum.
what was that number estimated? 250 or, I can't,
Currently it's 250.48.
okay,
We need to get
Who
to
knows?
337.75.
okay, good.
What's that gonna get for us approximately a year?
Annual 2.9.
I mean, how much for that levy, in dollars for the year? If we did a 2.5, does it show you?
Oh, I gotta run that number.
I'm
We
just
just-
trying to think, you can do the comparison of police officers' cost across the board, that pretty much just eats it all up.
Okay.
Well, then it shows that there's higher staff.
Right.
Okay, that's good with me.
All right,
Sounds good.
anything else on the levy issue? Okay, anything for the good of Brimfield Township, any topics that need discussed? I don't think we've heard any,
We
no?
don't wanna talk about that.
We need to check into the vermin in this building.
Yeah,
We still have raccoons?
I don't know, I hope.
I think it's the wind blowing, because the wind's going, so I think that's what's just.
It's that back corner. Yeah.
So,
We do need some sound treatment in here.
yeah. All right, well, hearing no other business at this time, I'll need a motion to adjourn the emergency meeting.
I will second it.
Roll call?
All those in favor, Wayne?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Motion passed, we are out at 3:27.
Wonderful.